Hello everyone, my name is Bill Durr and I renovate houses for a living. Right now I'm standing in a split level bungalow that was built in 1966 and it's remained the same for the last 59 years. This house has never been renovated or updated in its entire existence. So I plan to update every inch of this house, including completely redoing a bathroom in the basement, which required me to bust up the concrete floor and run all new drains. In this video, we have our initial rough-in of the drains and concrete floors completed, and we're going to continue on with framing, plumbing, electrical, insulation, and drywall. This house has 3 bedrooms upstairs, and they're all about the same size. So we wanted to turn the basement into a master suite, so we're plumbing the vanity for 2 sinks and building a full-size stand-up shower. That's enough talking, let's get to work. So I started off by cutting the bottom 2x4s for our walls, stapling plastic to the underside to stop moisture from wicking up through the concrete and into the wood, and nailing them into the concrete floor, keeping about a half an inch away from the block walls. I now have to give myself a place to attach the tops of the back wall. Since this wall runs parallel with the floor joist and ends up being between them, there's currently nowhere for me to nail to keep the wall in place. So I cut myself a couple pieces that fit between the floor joists above and nailed them in place. And while I have the tool out that shoots the nails through the 2x4s into concrete, I'll go ahead and set our shower walls in place. Just like the shower walls, while I'm working with the tool to attach 2x4s to concrete, I'm going to turn my attention to the door and its relocation to suit our new layout. Since I plan on introducing a vanity to the left of the doorway when entering the washroom, I need to move the door. Originally, there was a sliding door roughly 40 inches wide, so I was already needing to redo the way it was framed to install a proper swinging door. And this is about where I realize the battery for my framing nailer has died. So I'll put the framing on hold for a little while and start roughing in for our water lines. PEX makes this really simple as I can just drill the holes where I need them and pull the lines through. These types of water lines can be really flexible, but if you bend it too much, it will crease. And if that happens, the plastic is compromised and the crease cannot be used. So I do have to be a bit careful when feeding these through the walls. All right, so now our plumbing lines are all run in. Water's going to the toilet, both of the vanities, laundry box, going up in here into the laundry room where our source of water will be, and teed off there. Came across above our shower. I had to elbow down. I couldn't quite make that bend with these PEX lines. And these two lines are just gonna hang out here. All right, so by the time we finished prepping our valve body to be connected to the hot and cold, I ended up about 8.5 inches across. And I think I've decided across the whole wall, not including the curb, we're 35.5. Half of that will be 17.75. Double check my math there. Yeah. That'll be the center line of our shower. So 8.5 gives me 4.25 twice. And that's where I'm going to want to set these two studs. Okay, so here we can see how I've secured the shower valve to the framing with a piece of wood and PEX line staples. This valve was made to accommodate a tub spout, but with this being a stand-up shower with no tub, I've elected to just cap the bottom of the valve off. Now this basement isn't exactly a full height ceiling, and I'm limited on heights that I can work with, so while I'm 6'3", I would prefer a shower head a little higher. This is about the maximum I'm willing to set the shower head to not look like it's shoved up into the ceiling, and even allow for future users to install a wand-style shower head if they choose. Now I'll just give myself a piece of wood to mount a wingback elbow, which will be where the final shower head arm threads into. I'm using 3 double-threaded flooring screws to secure this fitting, and temporarily inserting a brass pipe to protect the threads throughout the tiling process. With our water lines roughed in, I now have to run our electrical lines to our countertop outlets, as well as our light switch, and then over to a new bathroom fan and LED shower pot light. I start by running plenty of wire to reach the electrical panel from our outlets, then run a line to carry power over to our switches. From there, I can double back to the light on the wall between our 2 mirrors, and another line over to our shower pot light and bathroom fan, which will be controlled by the same switch. I prefer to wire these two together to ensure people use the fan while using the shower. Okay, we're good. Not done yet, as we still have to run a duct to the outside. We're gonna drill a hole. Alright, so before we get into the fun that is drywalling all of the walls in this bathroom, we need to set the shower pan in place, because right now it's just sort of temporarily fitted in here, and after the drywall goes on, it's going to be trapped in there, and it needs to be set properly with mortar. We'll start by Alright, the next thing that we have to do before we try to use mortar to set the shower pan in place is to remove some of this green paint that's down on this basement floor. I've seen this green paint in so many houses. I don't know. I wasn't alive in the 70s or 60s when this place was built, so I don't know why all of the older basements have a green paint on the floors. It's usually covered up, so I'm thinking it's just like a primer or a moisture block, but anyways, I don't trust my mortar to stick to that, but I do trust it to stick to the concrete. So we're going to expose the concrete. We're not going to take all the green paint off. I just want to make sure that it's going to be bonded in the majority of it. So All right, guys, I didn't bother drywalling the other side of these walls because I'm going to do that when we do the rest of this room out here. The rest of this paneling, ceiling, everything has to come off, more drywall going on there. But for the bathroom for now, we have our little closet space, our shower, shower pot light I still have to cut in, and our wall where the vanity and toilet will go. Now we're ready to start mudding and prepping the shower for the waterproofing. With my first coat of mudding and taping finished, now I'm going to mix some cement to install some waterproofing membrane to connect the walls of the shower to the base, as well as the 2x4 curb. For this shower, I'm going to be using a roll-on waterproofing membrane, but I still need a rubber membrane to span the gap between the drywall and floor pan. This is a bit of a tedious task where I have to be careful how I cut the membrane to wrap the corners and also maintain an overlap of about 2 inches everywhere, to ensure the water won't ever make it past our waterproofing. This is the same rubber and felt membrane I used below, but integrated to a rubber ring that wraps around the shower head arm. So when the arm goes on, it's snugly wrapped with rubber to make sure that the water can never find its way behind the wall. As well as another piece for the shower valve where the rubber is angled, making sure that any water that might trickle between the trim plate and the tiled wall can never get in behind. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that's apply 2 coats of our roll-on waterproofing. This stuff has the consistency of pudding, which does make it a little tricky to get on a paint roller, but once you get it started, it goes on quite easily.